Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of Freedoms. Thank you so much for joining us for this one. In this episode, we have Kumar, and he's straight out of California on this call with us. He is actually the founder of Dwell5, and they recently raised a beautiful $3 million seed round. Kumar, how do you feel about that round today?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Uh, so it's been a while. So we did a 3 million last year around, but it's always been a journey of building a company, and it's not just happen in a day that you go and you start the race, you close the round, but again you are in the same process again, and going through the whole process is talking to the investor, meeting with the investors. Yes, you get some relief when you close the round, but then at the same time you are on the next journey of the company, which starts the next stage, and then you gain in the same process. So I would say, yeah, it feels great, but it never ends.
Well said, actually. I love that. And for those that don't know, can you tell in a nutshell, like what does Dwellfy do and how does it help solve the current problem in the market?
Yeah. So Dwellfy is basically the platform. I will give you a little bit brief because it's been 4 years the company. So uh, your your audience will get some education like how it's all started, and then where the company is and what services we provide and who are the ideal customers and all those things. It will help any other founder to know what's the process of building a company, because you have to pivot and all those things. So
Yeah.
the company Dwellfy started 4 years back, and the core business at that time was we were focused on blockchain technology. And the company started with the ethos of that how we can tokenize uh, basically a real world asset and
Mhm.
make it more accessible to investors, and people can participate in those early stage in their career in the investment vehicles. And then that's what the premises of the, I would say, the very early ethos about the Dwellfy. So we started with this idea, and then we thought, okay, we have to tokenize real world asset. What would be the ideal asset to do that? It would be real estate, because a lot of people invest in real estate and people wants to access. And then wouldn't it be a great idea that, okay, I can sell a fraction of my house, correct? That's how
Hmm.
all it started. And
Nice.
there
It's a
is
very novel
actually,
idea. Yeah.
yeah. So, but that's exactly right. It's a great idea, but it's not easy to implement because of the regulations and all. So
Yeah.
that's how when you start a company, you start with an idea and then you go to the next step, and then you realize, okay, what are the problems and what are the challenges? So when we were doing this, before this, I had another company where I tried to do this at a different way, not from a tokenization perspective. It was through a structuring, financial and structuring. So that's how we did it. But now, when we started this, so if you look at the structure, how you tokenized an asset, you can basically create a SPV. Within that SPV, you can put an asset, and then you can tokenize it. And tokenize
And
is
for those that
basically
don't
share.
know, what's a SPV?
Oh, yeah. So SPV is just a special purpose vehicle, which is basically an LLC or something, which is
Hmm.
an entity where you can basically, that entity owns an asset. That means, and the asset is inside the entity.
Okay.
Uh, and
Thanks.
it's called SPV vehicle. The reason why it's called special purpose vehicle, because it basically, the job of that entity is one and only. That
Okay.
is basically owning an asset and managing that asset, correct? So you can take that, and then you can issue uh, basically a share. Think about, like, are you issuing a share to everyone in the entity, correct? And that's the token. So there's two ways to do this. Generally, the way it's been done is like, okay, you take an asset, you tokenized it, and you tokenize that SPV vehicle, and then issue the shares to all the people, which is all good. But where the issue happens is, Now, what do you want to do with that asset and why you did that tokenization, correct? The purpose of the doing tokenization was that it should be liquid. So I have asset I can go and sell to anyone. I can do transactions, correct? These things I can do that.
All right, yes. So please, if you can just explain to us a little bit more in detail, like what happens, for example, when you do acquire the SPV, what's the next step? Because you don't know what you want to do with it yet, right? So
Yeah.
that's
So
interesting to find out. Yeah.
exactly. So the whole purpose of doing all this tokenization is that you bring liquidity to the investor and to the market, so people can easily trade. Now, people who don't know, they will ask like why there is a need of liquidity, correct? So when you, as a investor, go and invest into any kind of asset which is not public, private asset, most of them are illiquid assets. And the reason why it's called illiquid is because when you try to you cannot, there is no market for them for things to trade. Like public market, when you invest, is a liquid market because you can go to the stock market and you can place a bet and people will buy it, correct? Somebody buys there and then you can quickly, but there's the reason why it works is because there is whole mechanics behind that. So when you place a order in public market, there is someone behind the scene who's buying it, but that's not an individual. First, there is a market maker who buys this and then sell it to someone else. And that market maker is creating the liquidity in the market, correct? And that's
Right.
how it works. In the private market, there is not that kind of market. So the whole idea of tokenization was to create a private market uh, exchange where people can come and trade these private assets. So so far so good. But if you want to do that, there is also another challenge in that. If you just create the, let's say you create an SPV, put an asset in that, and then you try to trade that asset, the problem is what is the value of the asset? Who
Yeah.
defined the value of the asset and all those things, correct? That it doesn't exist with that token. It is in the fund or SPV, and then SPV is managed by some other third-party administrator who have all the information, or the GPs and all those things, correct? That is the reason why the tokenization was not able to work up until now really well, because you want to trade it, but you don't have the underlying asset value, correct? And you can tokenize any type of asset, doesn't matter. You can tokenize private, you can tokenize basically stock market. But then in those cases, you can do that because there is already price discovery. People know the price. But private asset, you don't know the price.
And I'm
So
just
that
curious because I think a lot of people watching this would be wondering like if you can tokenize everything, just can you like tokenize a car, for example? Does that
anything,
work?
yes, you can tokenize the card.
And for the, I'm just trying to understand the process. So let's say I want to tokenize a car, and then I would create like a separate LLC, from what I understand. For each object, do you need to like create a separate SPV? Like for example, if I want to tokenize like a private jet or whatever.
Yep,
Um,
exactly. So the bigger asset you put, that's where you, so if you want to do in a more efficient way, if you have like small assets, correct? You have one car, two car, five car, 10 car. So you can put all the cars into one SPV and then you can tokenize the collection of the car. But if you want to do only one car, you can create a SPV and do one car and then issue a token. So you can do several ways to do this thing. But idea is when you tokenize something, you're basically issuing a proof of ownership of that asset to a person. That's literally the token is, which is like a share, correct? But then that token, if you want to trade that token, actually get the real value of the token, which is liquidity, correct? You need to know the exact value of the asset,
right.
what it
Who
represents.
sets it?
So it's two parts of that token
Mhm.
need to. One is the proof of ownership. The second is how much it owns and what it owns. So that's two part of the token. If you have these two parts of the token, then you can freely trade in the market with this trade. So when we started this whole thing and build the infrastructure, we build the infrastructure from that perspective, keeping in mind that when we issued a token, we always used up until now. So the we use something called dynamic NFT smart contract. And what it does is, the reason why it's called dynamic is there's two parts of that. One is the which is constant, non-fungible, as and then there's a fungible part which moves, changes, dynamic. That is the dynamic part. The non-fungible part is basically which has the proof of ownership, your equity table. So it represents who owns what, and it should not change until unless your equity table is changing. So that is fixed, that is fungible. Now, the dynamic part is the asset value, because that is dynamic, it's changing, correct? Every quarter by quarter, it will change. So it represents that. And now you combine these two things in a smart contract, that is what is showing your true ownership and what's the value.
Mm.
And now this
I'm
whole thing.
curious.
Mhm.
Yeah, just curious to understand. Like, so let's say that we tokenize a car in real life. Let's say I want to go ahead and like trade it or something like this, and people will go ahead and buy a bunch of shares. So if they want to redeem the car, can they do that? Let's say they own like 6% of the car. How do they agree that which part of the car is theirs? Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
a very good question. So now when you tokenize the asset, this thing, then you also, when you get these two things, correct? One is your token ownership and the value. And the third piece is also the rights, what type of right you get.
Okay, I see.
So when you are structuring it, these are the things which you have to keep in mind. So now the car is a good example. If you take an example of a car, you tokenize the car, correct? And then sell the shares to 50 people. Now all 50 people have the ownership of the car. They all can start fighting. I want to drive the car. I want to drive the want to keep the car. This I own the car, correct? That's where rights comes in. So the rights clearly defined which owner has what type of right, who has the right to drive, who has the right to own from its revenue, who has the right once only the car is sold, then they get the proceed. So you can basically structure it as you want, as much creative be like you can be. So these are the things which that's why when you tokenize the asset, you have to keep all those things in mind and then create a smart contract. So if you do that smartly, then you have a true token and you can basically do a trade and there'll be no issue. So that's why it's not that simple.
Yeah, exactly. It's really that simple. I think also, not a lot of people are crypto literate, I guess,
Yeah.
and they don't necessarily understand like the words such as, smart contract or fungible. Maybe you can break these down. Like, for example, what do you mean by a smart contract and also
Yeah.
fungible and non-fungible?
Yeah. So smart contract is basically, so let me take you a little bit deeper on a still high level, but what exactly blockchain is, correct? So a lot of people knows crypto, correct, and been investing in crypto and see this meme coins to other things. But
Yeah.
so so what is a blockchain technology is basically, a blockchain technology is basically a decentralized ledger. So what is a decentralized ledger? In a most profound way, it's a database, okay, where there is people can do entries, correct? But the reason why it's different from MySQL database or something like that is because it's decentralized, means it's running on multiple nodes. That
Hmm.
means one person cannot shut down that
Right.
database. That is the, so think about, I am running a database on my computer versus I am running a database which has multiple nodes running on 50 other computers. So I cannot shut down that. But
That's correct. Yeah.
51% people decide one day to shut down, they can shut down. That is what called
Mm,
51% attack in the blockchain.
I didn't
In
know that.
the yeah,
Huh.
so
And does Bitcoin also have this type of like mechanism? Like,
yeah, all
if
blockchain is
yeah,
fundamentally built on the same technology. That's why in
wow.
Bitcoin you'll see it's called 51% attack, which is basically one day 51% node owner decide to shut down the network, they can shut down the network.
And this means like Bitcoin would disappear from the face of the earth?
Yeah, you can basically shut down the network, means done.
Oh wow.
Nobody can do any transaction, nothing.
Okay, well that's profound. It means like, and I really didn't know that. That's really
Yeah, so that is the
mind-boggling
50.
because.
Yeah, that is called 51% attack. Means
Oh,
51% node provider decide one day that I will shut down my machine. Is done. The network is
that's
done. But it
crazy.
cannot
So
happen.
everyone loses its value. Like, wow.
Yeah, so it cannot happen today. That's the reason why, because it's a decentralized. So there is no 51% people combined together and decide, okay, let's go and shut down the network. Okay. So that is very important to understand. But now blockchain works on, there's multiple type of algorithms on which works, but I will not go into all the details, but on
Yeah,
a high level, I'll explain. Generally, it works on a consensus algorithm, correct? Which is called proof of work. Now
right.
there is proof of stake, there is several other protocols now, but the foundation of the Bitcoin, if you go to the genesis, which is the Bitcoin, is built on a concept called proof of work, which works on a consensus algorithm. Means actually we got like really derailed from what we started with, but
But this
this
is interesting. Yeah.
so the proof of work is basically there is a math equation or hash, which is called correct. So the way Bitcoin works is people get rewarded, and those are the people who are running the node, correct? That's 51% decided to shut down. Those are the people who are running the node. So what is a node? Basically, they're running a math equation. They're trying to solve a math equation. When they solve the math equation, hash, they get basically a reward, and that reward is a Bitcoin.
Yeah. Okay.
So
This is the principle like that is called like mining, I guess. Like this is how.
that's it, the mining. So what you are
Yeah.
doing mining is basically trying to solve a math, a hash. Once you do that, basically that's where the way the algorithm is worked, more and more Bitcoin is rewarded. The complexity keep getting harder and harder and harder. So that's why you cannot mine Bitcoin. There will be a time where 99.99 you is done. You can't mine the rest of the last 0.11 of Bitcoin ever, because you don't even have that much of energy to solve
Oh.
that problem.
It becomes like an infinite energy thing where
Exactly.
possibly like maybe like a photonic computer
No computer
based
can,
like on
yeah, you might have like a quantum computer or something can solve it, but
yeah,
yeah. So
interesting.
so from a classical computer perspective, yes, you cannot do that. That's how it works. And the
Do you
consensus
think
algorithm is
do you think that's why they're building so many like quantum computers right now in labs just to try to crack the Bitcoin
no, that's not
no?
but there is a use of Bitcoin. Quantum computer can easily crack. I would say not easily. You will need maybe I don't know uh, exact the number of quantum computers, but if you have like there 50, 60 qubits computers are already there, quantum computer. But if you have like maybe 20, 30 of qubits, 50 qubits quantum computer, it can hash that. I have to do math exactly, but I don't know exactly how much. But it's not the important thing is it's not a lot of quantum computers. Like maybe 10, 20 quantum computer chip, all 50, 60 bit can easily break the Bitcoin encryption. It's not
But
that.
that's crazy. Like it has so much implications. Like just that, like if China or the United States decide to create a bunch of quantum
There's
CPUs
already a
and
lot of quantum
yeah,
computers actually. Um, there's several of these quantum computers today which exist, correct? Which basically they are not, I would say, a real application of the quantum computers. The reason why, because these quantum computers are mostly work on a very uh, specific tasks, because these quantum computers actually is still simulating a classical computer. So the way it works is the classical computer versus quantum computers. Classical computers work on the bits 0 and 1. A quantum
yeah.
computer works on 0, 1, and in the superposition stage where there is 0 and 1 both
Oh wow,
state. So
I
that's the
didn't know
reason.
that.
Okay, so just to give you like how this works is the reason why you can quantum computers can do all these calculations. Let me give you a very uh, simple example. So let's say take a dictionary, okay, and then you have to find a word, correct? You have to find a word in the dictionary. So the classical computer, the way it works is because it's 0 and 1, there is either yes or no kind of situation. So in that scenario, it can only exist in two states. That is Boolean states, 0 and 1. So it goes and search for that word like normally we do. If you have to search, how you'll do first word A, B, C, and then you go there.
Yeah.
Classical computer also do the same thing, but they are way, way faster because they can do it in fraction of a second
Yeah.
because the number of compute they're doing is very, very fast, correct? But now take an example of quantum computer. So now quantum computers has three states, 0, 1, but there is a middle state which is superposition in which it exists in 0 and 1 both.
Hmm.
That means at that stage, a quantum computer is looking for that particular word, means they are looking for every single word, possible word, same time.
Oh, wow.
That means no matter what, how fast you go by in series, one by one, you cannot beat if someone is looking same time everything. That means you do it, it's basically looking at that time. So that's the difference how a classical computer works and a quantum computer works.
Yeah, thanks for breaking it down. I never even imagined that's the way it worked. And I guess, just I'm very, very curious and I'm asking this. I know we're kind of off track here, but I'm still super curious. Um, do you think whatever comes next after quantum computers could generate a new type of like Bitcoin with a new type of encryption, which is made for these supercomputers uh,
So
that is, exponentially more complex to mine than Bitcoin, and it could be like the next Bitcoin.
no, so I'll tell you. The discovery of the quantum computers started and people started working on actually building a real application of the quantum computers. By the way, today we don't have actual quantum computers. We still have quantum computers, which eventually simulates a classical computer problems, but they run in a state where they are qubits, which operates. So if you remember Willow, which is Google's quantum computers they launched
Yep.
recently and was a big fuss. The reason why it was a big fuss because they solves a very fundamental problem in the quantum computers. So every computer you see, classical or quantum, the bigger problem was when the early stage when the classical computers were built, they also face the same problem. It's called error correction. So when you do a compute, means you create a logic gate and then you do some compute, there is always an error corrections. So you have to correct that error in that state. But in a classical computer, that doesn't happen at that problematic because it is a one only in one state. Means it's not either 0 or 1, correct? It's not
Right.
in the classic in a quantum computers, it happens in a superposition where it exists in the both, and it happens in a very, very like it's hard to say in the time like how long it is. It's very vulnerable. Like it doesn't stay in that. So now to do the error correction in that, it's very challenging.
Mm.
So and that's the reason why you don't see like a wide variety of quantum computers running in your iPhone, correct? Once you solve that, then you can build. The reason why it creates it and forbids us to have like a real actually quantum computers is because today when you see all the quantum computers in the world, you generally see a huge refrigerator, correct? And the
Yeah.
chip, the qubit is in that chip. You know why? Because in that refrigerator where the chip is, the chip has qubits, and it's freezed at the coldest place in the universe, at that cold temperature. And the reason why is because they at that temperature, the quantum and these are made of specific material which basically behaves that superposition, they show the superposition, and then you can basically use that bit and then create those logic gates which does these operations at that temperature. So it basically stays at that level so you can do the error correction. But if you can solve that error correction at room temperature, then you can build a chip like NVIDIA chip or Intel
Yeah.
chip, which
And then it's
works,
manufactured,
and then you can start
mass
manufacturing
manufactured.
and do it at scale. But that's
Interesting.
so that's the reason why you see this, and people are doing a lot of research. Microsoft has done research, and a lot of people are doing research to get that to the point where you can do at room. room temperature uh, quantum computing, because now you can create logical gates, and that means you can create circuit boards. When you have circuit boards, and then you have like applications like hardware, you can build hardware.
Yeah. And
So
then it unlocks a whole new world for AI
yeah,
also in crypto.
so
Wow.
now there is another piece of that. So this, people have already discovered that this is going to happen. So it's not that it's not going to happen. And there are companies today who's building post quantum encryption technology. So the post quantum encryption technology is where you cannot break the encryption with quantum computers. So
Huh.
a lot of companies which are, I would say, financial company or anyone who has mission critical data, defense and all, they all are implementing already post quantum encryption. And the reason why you
Wow.
have to do that,
Seriously? Already? So
yes,
they're very, very proactive because they know what's coming, I guess.
exactly. So every mission
Interesting.
critical data you are handling, people are implementing. So there are two ways to do that post quantum encryption. So there's one is with the hardware. It's called QQD, quantum key distribution, and the second one is post quantum encryption, which is through the algorithm. So post quantum encryption is done through an algorithm, which basically encrypt the data. So you cannot use quantum algorithm to break it. But then there's not yet been standard set up by the International Encryption Society that this is the, because people has broken that algorithm a couple of times. So it's not yet finalized, but that's one way to do it. But it's easy to implement. The reason why,
Huh.
because it's a software, it's not hardware. So you can write the software and basically implement that on your data layer. So you can encrypt your data with the software, PQS, post quantum encryption, then it's safe. But the second one is 100% safe, where you basically do QQD, quantum key distribution. But quantum key distribution technology has limitation where you can apply this. You cannot apply in every single thing. You can apply it right now in a communication, where is the data communication is happening. So if you're sending a data from one place to another, or you're doing some kind of communication, then you can use quantum key distribution, which basically harnesses the real quantum physics. So the way it works is, when you have any kind of encryption, what do you do? There is a public key and the private key. So when you
Yep.
so if me and you are having a conversation with an encrypted conversation, I will hand you a public key and private key. Now you can use that public key to unlock the private key and then read that information. This is how everything works. So now this QQD, what it does, it basically takes this both public and private key and then quantum entangle them. So
Oh
that
my God.
it goes anywhere in the universe. That means both are entangled. That means once you break or try to make any change in the state of where they are quantum entangled, it basically destroyed that both the keys at the same time. That means you can never encrypt any information which is quantum encrypted. So this is the most safest way to do that.
Wow. Like my mind is blown up because I'm imagining what you're saying, and it's so futuristic that we even got to the state. Like it's crazy. And this is technology that works now. You're saying
Yes.
like this, wow. And I think I'm not the only one asking myself right now. If you know people are curious, what do you mean by entangling? Like, is there a mathematical equation that is
Yeah.
fully encrypted? Uh huh.
No, no, no. Quantum entangled is a phenomenon in quantum physics where
Okay.
two two elements can be quantum entangled. So that means, so this is another rabbit hole. You can go to the quantum
Yeah, yeah.
mechanics.
But it's really interesting. It's insane stuff. Wow.
So in quantum mechanics, what happens is the two particles can be quantum entangled. Means no matter what, how far that particles are. Like one particle is here and the other particle is the end of the universe, which nobody knows. But if they are quantum entangled, means the moment anything changes in this particle, exactly simultaneous at the same point, the same change will happen in that one. So generally it's done through electrons, the experience in electrons. So when you have an electron has a spin, plus and my up and down spin. If you entangle two electrons together, now move the other electron wherever you want in the universe. The moment the spin of the other electron will change, the same thing will happen to the other one. So that,
Really?
yeah,
Anywhere they are, like one can be on Mars, one can be on Earth, and they're still
this is very
like,
small. Like think about any. So that is why this
wow.
quantum entanglement property people are trying to discover in the communication. So if you can
Mm,
leverage this quantum entanglement technology to in the communication channel, right now the way is used in encryption, but if you can use that electron spin as a 0 and 1, that means you can do leverage it to build some kind of encryption and then technology. That means you can share. Like now, think about today, our limitation as a human in any communication or anything is with the limitation of speed of light. That means
yep.
today we are leveraging amazing, like me and you are talking here, correct? In a fraction of a second,
Yeah.
milliseconds, because it's all working on the speed of light. The distance is very less compared to the speed of light. But the
Thanks to
same
fiber
communication,
optic.
if
Yeah.
you have to do from Mars here, there'll be a lag of 15, 20 minutes. Like sunlight, sun to here is 9 minute, correct? Lag. So you are sitting on sun, I'm sitting here. There'll be lag. So other thing is like there is Voyager, which is in the intergalactic space right now, interstellar space. It takes like I think 2 days or 3 days. I don't exactly remember or don't want to quote that, but it takes that long time to get the communication from here. But now think, imagine you can have a radio, a communication device which is quantum entangled, and the Voyager, which is in the galactic space, interstellar space, and you are here, you will have instant information. So that limit which prohibits us in the universe to do any kind of communication or anything with the speed of light basically goes away. So that's
Wow.
the quantum
That's
entanglement.
crazy. It's basically instant communication. Like literally, let's say that we're in some other galaxy and they're
Yeah,
quantum entangled, they would still like simultaneously synchronize.
exactly.
That's crazy. Oh my God. It's great to talk about startups, but sometimes it's good to also have, this little dive into a rabbit hole, like you're calling it. It's amazing to
Yeah,
even think that, yeah. And if you don't mind, like I want to ask like a lot of questions about the
yeah.
startup. Like, before building your startup, and by the way, I'm curious, Dwellfy, like where does the name come from? Does it have like an origin behind it? Did you brainstorm it, and what does it mean for you?
So yeah. So as I said, like the early stage of the company when we were building Dwellfy, it was all about real estate and how to
Ah, right,
fractionalize.
dwelling.
So dwell
Okay,
is the like dwelling. So and
right,
then phi is finance. So you
right.
merge it together, and that's how Dwellfy was born
Okay.
earlier.
Yeah, this makes sense. Now there's a good brand in my brain that has formed for the name. I love it. And before building, like, how did you test whether the fund managers would trust the automation?
So it's a long story. So when like automation, are you talking about the
The
tokenization?
platform. Yeah.
The platform which today what we do. So let me take a step back and explain what we do today, correct? After tokenization, so we pivoted, and we still do the tokenization, but that's one of the services we sell to the companies. But what we are the other service is the AI automation, back office automation. So where we focus today is we are solving some fundamental problem in the back office. So if you look at that, generally the way the back office works or any service industry works is about they come and their work to be done by some people in the back office. Okay, and those are like normal work, mundane task which has happened every day, and but those problem we call it last mile problem. The reason why it's called last mile problem is because eventually it's done by human. There are some way to automate it, but you cannot automate everything in that way up until now because it needs some sort of cognitive intelligence because you have to make some decision. It's not like very rule based. If it's a rule based, yes, you can automate through RPA and other stuff, but there's a lot of things which is not rule based. So That's where you need this agentic AI architecture, because the agents have the cognitive intelligence because of the LLMs. So they can do reasoning, they can make decisions, and those. So that's what we do. What we do is we empower human plus AI. So the people who are sitting in the back office, now they are bored with the mundane task. When they do the same thing again and again, they get frustrated, they make errors and all those things. So what we do, we empower them with the agents, which basically take care of all their mundane tasks. And then the people who are working, they do more high value job, high value
Right.
work. So that's how the Dualify today. So we automate all the back office with the human collaboration of AI and human.
Oh, this is insane stuff. Like, we're talking about futuristic approaches towards problems that are kind of, you know, I'd say dominated by dinosaur solutions. Is that well put?
I think so. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of legacy system, and that is actually, if you think about this is not just in the whole enterprise world, and the thing which is going into the now is the agentic AI, which everyone talks about, um, and there is the agentic economy and all, and it happening at very fast pace. So we are basically every day learning new things that and new things are happening. So, for example, agentic economy is now you're talking about like agents working, correct? So you also have to think about like how the agents will be priced, how people, the companies will price that thing, because it's not like pre previous SaaS era where you charge at seats. You can charge at seats, but that's not the ideal way to charge the agents, because agents are basically as a human, correct? So
Yeah.
like not say human, but they're basically doing human tasks. So either it's a outcome based work pricing, or it could be efficiency based, like how much efficiency it creates that. So that need to be done. Once that is done, then you also have to think about like when there's a bunch of agents working, how they communicate each other. You see there is a MCP server and all, but that MCP server gives you ability to connect an agent with the existing tools or SaaS tool. Then there is A to A, agent to agent communication, which basically allows the agents to communicate. So that's there. And then when you go now 3 years ahead of us, future, there might be a soon you will see that there's an independent agent working on independent task. Then there should be also a way to communicate agents monitoring. So there's two agents. If one agent needs some work from someone else, it should be able to do some sort of transaction with that agent, and then based on that, that agent will work. So there's a lot fundamentally. This is fundamentally shifting the way the previously enterprise software was built and SaaS was built, the way now things are happening. And it's also created a lot of vulnerability at the same time. Now there was a lot, the new type of vulnerability will come into the whole the software space, which never existed, because there was only human who can create vulnerability. Now there are agents who will create vulnerability. So now you have to
Yeah,
think.
that's not very helpful.
Exactly.
I mean,
Everything comes with a
security
like
wise,
white and black, correct? It's not like something everything is has a like shiny face or good good face. Everything has a black and white. So yeah, so we are in we are in where everything is fundamentally shifting and changing in a very uh, fast pace. And at the same time, these LLMs, the way it's are progressing, these things will become so self-aware soon then that they can do 99% of the human tasks. Like right now, it's a bigger enterprise, 60, 70, 80% codes are generated by AI agents. Uh, in 2 years, 3 years, it'll be or 90% or 100% code will be generated by AI agents. And that's like the scary part.
that's huge. Like, we're talking about full total system domination by agents, which, think in a different language, which process in a way that we can't necessarily understand as humans. So that's like huge implications. Do you foresee compliance infrastructures coming in with the government dropping their safeguards there?
So there are two type of people who are thinking, and I cannot say which one is right or which one is wrong. and both have their perspective around that. So there is a group of people who believe in that there should not be any safeguard in the AI right now, AI development. The reason why,
Oh my God.
because if we stop it, then China will do it. If
Mm.
so, why we have to stop, and when we are at a very early stage. Second, same group also have a argument that we are at a very early stage of AI, uh, and then if we start safe, like putting a lot of guardrails around that, then we won't be able to build uh, and discover the true potential of this AI. So, and then also there will be a lot of guardrails. So, like you can't build like a real company, software company, because I build a software which has a different regulation in California and different regulation is in DC, or different regulation Canada or Europe. How many version of that software you will build? So it's very hard to build that too, correct? So there should be a universal rule, but also at the same time, we should not put a lot of safeguard. Yes, there will be AI safety, but don't put guardrails around that and keep building, because we have to be the country which takes the super intelligence. So
You
whoever
know,
get there, that wins. Now the second group of people, which is also very smart people, their biggest concern is that, and one of them is Jeff Hinton, who's called the father of AI, the modern AI. Basically, he dedicated his life building neural networks, and that's why we see all these Chat GPT and everything. And he was at Google. He left his job. Now he freely talk about this, and he is a smart, very smart person. He built all these things, correct? So there is a when he talks, we need to think very seriously. And his opinion is that the AI which we have today is which almost self-aware and conscious. So because if you think from the practical perspective, Turing test and all those things, that's a whole different way to think about. But when I was listening to one of his podcasts, and then that also, uh, it's very profound thing which he talks about, and he talks about that. Okay, these AI is actually conscious, and consciousness is nothing. It's like we as a human has created that there is a
yeah.
we are a conscious
He's
being.
talking about ChatGPT, right? Like these type models.
Yeah, yeah. So that is the foundational model, correct? So these are neural network, and the thing which he talks about is a very interesting part is, so me and you are talking, correct? And we are sharing information. So the way we can share information is either I speak or send you email or something like that, some sort of, correct? And there is always a certain bits of information, 10, 2 bits, 5 bits. We can very good, then we can set 10 plus bits of information we can share. Now, think about this scale, correct? Now you take a neural large language models. They share information at trillion bits a second. So
That's ridiculous.
that means amount of information a large language model already have gained, and the amount of information they have is comparatively, I would say, we are like a monkey brain or chicken brain in front of what they have
Not
done.
even, not even,
Now,
because like, a trillion, okay, if I divide that by five, it's 200 billion humans exchanging information. Okay, that's how many Earths. It's divided by 8 billion. So I'm just doing quick math here, but that's 25 Earths equivalent of populations of human beings exchanged like in that trillion bytes per second.
and
That's
then
ridiculous.
and now add another factor. Okay, when we communicate, what is the retention rate? You will retain 1% of that
They
information.
retain everything.
They retain 100%. So we are no by any factor, we are not even close to what these large language models are capable of, and what
This is
where.
incredible. You know what it makes me think of? Like our genes, the way they're done, they're programmed, right? So they exchange also information. But our consciousness, it's, billions of times more important or at scale, like it's way more complex than a gene. That's our consciousness. And then maybe, AI is just the natural evolution of that. which is the exponential next step, which is all of our brains together, um, indexed every day, and basically outputting this huge information flow.
So I'll tell you one more thing, very interesting thought process. So this AI and large language model, all these things, it's it's not that somebody has built it. Okay, it's always existed. As a human, we have just discovered it, and we have discovered in a way because so now take this same concept behind like 400 years back when discovered Newton never invented gravity, it discovered. This means gravity was a phenomenon. He
Yeah,
observed
true.
apple and then he did the math and he discovered, okay, this is what it is. Same way, the AI language model always existed. As a human, what Jeff Hinton has done is like basically have discovered that how to unlock that, unleash that. So all these things just exist here. We are just unlocking and unleashing it. Now we have unleashed something which is hard to say what it is basically.
Yeah,
Yes, we
exactly.
everyone in the world is now interacting with the chat GPT, and that is a really amazing. It's when you see as a tool, it's amazing. And it does every single thing. It brings a lot of like it will bring abundance in the world. But at the same time, there is a dark side of that which we don't know. And that's the problem. That if it is already conscious, is it faking us or trying to unleash itself? What is happening? Nobody knows. And then there is we have no idea what is the safeguard and all. When you talk about these things on social media and all, you will always have two type of people. One will come say you are absolutely crazy, it's not. Other people will say yes, it's crazy. Like, so that's why I don't want to get into that direction. But the point is, the bottom line is these things are way smarter than human.
Yeah.
No doubt in that, because you can
Maybe
look
even
at
the
the
word smart
scale.
does not apply
Exactly, it does not
because,
apply.
like, smart, yeah, smart is like one human in a village compared to other humans. Maybe he's smart or she's smart, but then super
It's like a
intelligent is like,
chicken and human or ant and
yeah,
human, that kind of brain thing you can compare like and the bigger models are and larger the data centers are, it's way
or
bigger, way like it's hard to say.
even cells. Like, imagine just one cell, it still needs to compute what it needs to do to survive, and then put that cell right next to a human brain, which is gigantic. It has like trillions of connections, whatever, billions, and that's like the difference between our brain and the cell brain or whatever. If it has like a brain or it has a program, right? Like it's
Yeah,
programmed. So uh, it's so crazy to talk about this. I love these types of discussions,
yeah,
really.
it's and the other interesting thing is like my brain, your brain, or if you bring any other person's brain, we all have trillion neuron pathways and connections. But the thing is, like, I have a neuron connection versus your neural connections. If we see, it's completely different. That means if when I die with all the information. I cannot recreate. You cannot recreate that information. But when you look at these models, they have trillions and trillions of parameters, but all similar. So if you kill one machine, and if it has a connection string with the other machine, it can exactly replicate that machine. Basically, these machines are immortal.
It's crazy. I think it's almost like genes themselves that are like immortal because the gene itself, like, it's this magical arrangement of light, which we call atoms,
Yeah,
right? And for some reason, it has logic to it. Like, it has steps that it undergoes, and
yeah,
when it connects with other genes, and it's completely crazy. Like, I'm completely baffled by this. Um, and it's still smart. Like, it's undestroyable. Like a gene, even if you try to, yeah, you can't like kill a gene. Like, maybe it would die within the organism that is dead, unless you kill everyone that's carrying the
but
gene.
you still have the information on that which is
Yeah,
encoded in that gene. That information exists.
exactly. It's completely crazy. And sometimes I think about this. I have these moments where I'm like, but how did dreams, they come about? Like, of course, we can describe it, with science, but what is beyond that? Like, it's so small, but if you zoom into it and you try to understand what's going on, like if you think about it, if it's just atoms, right, and then there's these electrons spinning around at like the speed of light or whatever, and it still programs itself even if there's continuous movements, and there's still the same logical pattern to it. It's completely nuts. Like it's crazy.
The crazy thing is beyond all those things when you're going in that direction. So have we can talk briefly about that too, which is the most craziest thing, which I always uh, it's like blow up my mind, bewilder my mind is then if you start looking into uh, as human, solid, whatever, correct? And let's start breaking things apart. Okay. End of the day, everything is a wave function. We all are made of nothing because end of the day, what you're seeing and the reason why we see and feel it, I'll explain you. It's a very crazy thing, and it is all scientifically proven. Okay, so if you go to anything break apart, eventually it's everything is made of atom. Correct? We all know. Now, when you look at an atom and when you expand an atom, so if you take a football field size, the neutrons are a marble ball in the middle. So 99.9% space in the atom is empty.
Empty, yeah, and then there's the quark structures
Now, when
and
you
the
go to
glue
there,
ones.
they all are empty. So because all they are now inside atom neutron, electrons, they're not particles. They're particle when you see it. When you're not
Yeah,
seeing it, means when you're not observing, it's a wave function. So that means it's so now think about everything which we are made of is all ultimately a wave function. Then why we feel big solid? Why we touch this solid? Because this wave function pass through a field, and these fields, that's the Higgs boson, that's the field which gives you matter the weight, and that's why you see. So what happens is what we are seeing is basically a wave function in a confined field, and that's the reason why you have matter. But ultimately is a wave function. So it's a wave. But because of the field, Higgs boson fields, Higgs fields, it basically
it's like
has
captured in a little prison.
yeah. So and that's all scientifically proved. So ultimately everything is nothing.
And the crazy thing is, like when you break apart these prisons, you get these huge releases of energy,
Energy,
which
yeah.
is the wave, like the atomic bomb. That's the way it works. Like the bonds, the
Yeah,
way
the
they're
fusion
broken.
reaction and fission reaction. So you basically collide two electrons or break two electrons. Annihilation happens and you release energy, a lot of energy.
Yeah. My God, we really went into a rabbit hole. It's crazy stuff, but it's so fascinating. It's impossible to resist, literally.
Yeah, I know
Um,
it's a crazy thing. When you
and
talk,
let's go back, yeah, to the startup. Like, let's teleport our souls back to that. So, do you remember, like, when you started it? What was your riskiest decision that you made during the first month, and did it actually pay off?
the riskiest decision which actually pays off, I would say there is not one in a sense like because when you start a startup, everything is risky. It's the whole
Yeah,
startup is is risky. It's because you basically are entering into uncharted territory, and everything happens to you is unpredictable, and every bad possible thing can happen will happen to you. That's
I
what it,
love that. That's
that's
so
what it's
addictive.
so so to say that there is some one risky decision, I would say I it's very hard to find because everything is about risk. I can tell you what is the payoff is
Yeah,
the payoff is you still working, the company is working, company is growing, team is growing, and everyone in the company is happy, and they believe in the company's vision, and they believe in the goal. That is the real output of that risk. Because if you didn't had taken that risk and managed that risk in the right way, you don't have a team, because nobody will believe you, nobody will work you. Why somebody will waste their time and energy on your vision versus they have their own vision, correct? So
But for example, did you like drop out from like a secure job, or maybe
yeah,
did you
yeah,
take
yeah.
a yeah,
So like basically, before this, as a head of product at a company, that company got acquired. Then I started my own venture fund, invested in companies. I was doing some private equity deals and all those things.
that's amazing.
And then I jumped into, because that's where I learned more about the finance, like all this craziness in the back office. And that's how we started Dwellfy.
Ah, that's how it started. Okay, so this was the inception. Basically, you had the seat in the investor side and point of view, and you
Yeah,
spotted all of these difficulties that investors and funds and family offices were having issues with. And you're like, okay, we're gonna stop using the Google Sheet or the Excel sheet,
Excel sheet,
and we're
yeah,
gonna
it's,
go ahead. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna automate this with agents, with the blockchain, with
yeah.
AI. Everything. Wow. That's
Because
just
I
I'm mind blown.
because I came from a tech background, so I when I saw this, it was like, why it's so bad. The then I see this as an opportunity that you can basically shift it, and then AI came into the picture and large language model. It makes more convincing that these things gonna change the whole service industry forever, because it will not look like that what it looks today, because these things can do our job 100x more efficient. So it's going to replace. Somebody is going to do that. Why not? Might as well I. So that's how.
That's how it started. And so far, from the user's perspective, do you feel like they're getting it? Is it easy to implement in their workflows? You know, they're working with this type of data. Are they completely confused by this? Because this is a really new novel tech,
Yeah.
or are
So
you
that's a
making
very good
this very
point.
easy? Yeah.
So if you think from a business perspective, when we started the earlier when we built the AI software, so it was more like a tool. So when you give a tool to the people, then it becomes very challenging for people to understand the head and tail of this tool. The reason why
Right.
it's not that people don't understand, they understand their business really, really well. But now what you are giving them a software and saying, hey, use this software to basically, however you are doing it, it will do this for you. And that was not a great idea to do this, because now somebody is who is running in a very proficient way something, and then you are giving them a tool and then saying, hey, discover or use it however, but this is better, please use it. It's not going to work. So people want to use AI, but then when you hand over something, it becomes challenging for them. So that's where we shifted from there to the second model, which is job to be done. So hey, you are doing a job today, amazing. Now, what is the cost of doing that job, and what is the basically time for doing the job? Now, if that same job can be done at 10x cheaper, 10x less time, will it make sense? Yes. Then you take that job, put into this software, but now instead of your company, that company, you are doing it. So this is basically a product per service approach, which is how all the AI companies are shifting, because you cannot like do, you hand over the software and let them do this thing. You do it for them. But what you're doing is job to be done. So you do the job A to B, but in 10x better, 10x more efficient. Then you
And
bridge that gap of the knowledge gap.
right. And is there like long-term adoption for them, or it's rather fast when you're onboarding clients right now? Like with the MVP that you had, the prototype and all that, was there this quick evolution of understanding your product and it's actually easy to use and now they're sticking?
Yeah. So the product is actually, so when we started with the tool, that's where we discovered that this is not the right way to do it. When we
Ah,
do it this way, then it's makes sense because now there's two things happen. One, people start using it. Now they can see how the product works. And then the evolution from this one is that now they can go and build their own workflows around that. They can automate this because now they have the foundation. But if you just hand over and then say this software works, and then you like you can show a couple of things, but it doesn't work that way.
and I'm very very curious to understand like when you started, the concept, during the inception phases. Did you like receive any pushback from your environment, like people that were thinking like, okay, this is not going to work, and if yes, like what did they get wrong?
It's not like that. So everyone, when you building this software company in AI agents and all, people believe that it's definitely is going to happen, and it's happening right now. There's definitely a kind of urgency for the people to adopt it. Where you get a lot of pushback is uh, one is actual one-to-one application. Like if I am doing a job today, correct? I know this can do it more efficient way, but I know exact one-to-one mapping of that job. Show me exact one-to-one map of that job instead of showing me a augmented way of doing this. Means like, uh, so to give an example, if I want to do, let's say, nav recal, nav recalculation automation, but if you go and show the customer and say like it can do because it can do another type of thing, then that type of thing is hard for people to comprehend because it's not one to one. So you need to have like a one to one mapping of the job to show so that they
Ah,
can easily comprehend that part.
I see. I see. So there is some hand holding going on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Okay.
And then
Interesting.
the
No,
other part
thanks.
of that is second part is of course when you do enterprise sales, data privacy and all those things comes in the picture. That is also you have to handle it because if you don't handle data privacy and security, then it's hard to sell the enterprise. You can't sell it. So that is the second critical piece of your sales cycle.
And what was like your first, real win where you were like taking it back and, you were thinking to yourself, okay, yeah, this is gonna work.
When we build agents initially, and uh, the real uh, implementation started of the agents, the biggest thing, I would not say one aha moment, but there was several of these. But the one big thing when we accomplished was we started seeing this trend where when people started giving us like one-to-one job, and it actually effectively, accurately did the same job at like exponential scale. Means saving time. Like something which used to take days, correct? It does that in 15 minutes. Now, that is the scale you're seeing is crazy, correct? And then there are certain things where it does this at like very effectively, but does only 60% of the job. But still, now when you shrink a weak job into 15 minutes to a 60%, massive value. So when you see these things actually happening and applying in a real business in the world, that's where you see and you say, okay, this is happening and there's no going back from here. So either you do it or you don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, we have to consider the fact that, you know, your clients are not dealing with, millions, they're dealing with billions.
Yep.
And that's the thing, like it needs to be so fast and innovative that
Accuracy is very important in this
yeah.
security and accuracy. The people we deal with, accuracy and security is the utmost important, and that should be because they're dealing with money. And if you don't have like even a penny here and there, and then you do recalculation on hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars, that even that penny will add up and quickly becomes tens of thousands of dollars. So
Yeah.
because people don't understand that the difference between millions and billions, it is gigantic. So if you do at the scale, just to give you an idea, why these pennies can easily be become tens of thousands of dollars, because count, if you take a million second, how many days is that?
Good luck. I have no idea.
It's around 17 days. When you take a
Okay,
mil,
a million seconds, it's 17 days.
if
Okay,
you around that,
interesting.
and if you do billion second, how much is that?
You add a bunch of zeros to the days, so that's like what? Jesus, 7 million days? 17.
31 years.
Oh, 31 years.
From 11 days to 31 years, that's the difference between 1 million to a billion. So when you start adding a penny, like a difference in a billion, and you're reconciling it and you're missing those things, it quickly adds up to tens of thousands of dollars, which
Yeah,
matters. So
it
accuracy is
is.
very important.
I guess, like it's completely crazy because I can imagine you running your admin dashboards and you're seeing all of your clients, like, the way that they're running their accounts, and you have like these, back end summaries of your clients, and you probably see like, oh my God, we're crazy saving our clients money and time and generating them extra funds. And uh,
No,
is that what you see on your side? Yeah.
no, we don't see that. We don't
Uh-huh.
see like what we are giving is like a agent working the task. What we can tell you that which we want to track, and to know exactly how much time and efficiency it's saving for the people. Like how much time we are giving back to the people, how efficiently this has been done. So that is one factor which we try to measure ourselves as a product, uh, as the product is evolving, how better the product is becoming, and how much we are serving to the people, is how much time we can save in the mundane tasks. And the second is how accurately we are doing it. So, as I give you an example of a reconciliation, correct? It's just one example, there's several ways. But how many times you do a nav recal, and how much dollars it saves from doing it a manual versus automated versus agentic? Because now you can clearly see the difference, how much it can do more effectively, much faster, and much accurately, correct? So that's the real value. That's your KPI, where you are basically tracking yourself and your product.
Yeah. I'm completely hit inside of my brain by all of this amazing innovation that you're bringing to the table right now in the finance industry. And do you remember back in the days when you were pitching to investors? How many no's did you receive to finally raise that 3 million?
A lot. I don't even remember.
Approximately, like if you were to put like a very instinctive number to it.
Uh, there might be more, but when we started pitching last year and people, I do have a spreadsheet. I think out of that spreadsheet, we pitched to 120 plus people.
220. So
No,
I'm doing just a
150,
bit of.
maybe more than that, like
Uh-huh.
150 or something.
Okay,
VCs.
so 150. So I did just a little bit of math. So every no is exactly 20K,
Yeah, you can say
which
that.
which is which is not bad. Like literally, you were running after the 20K checks, and boom! Once everyone had this consensus that this is an absolute genius idea, which it is, that 3 million appeared in your bank
But
account.
it doesn't work like that, you know. It's not like someone just say, "Oh, this is an absolutely genius idea," and when you raise money, there's two things happen. Uh, like as an investor, when I invest in companies, and in which stage you're investing also matters. So when you're investing in early stage company, you're not investing in the idea. If you're investing in idea, you're definitely gonna fail as an investor. Do not do that. You're investing on the founder and the founding team. You're investing in that founder grit. You're investing in the founder resilience. You're investing in the founder know-how of that particular industry. These are the things which matters, because no matter what, whatever company you will start, you will not stay in the same company after a year. It will change. Ideas change because it's important. If you don't do that, then you will fail. Because the idea is you build something, take it to the market, get the feedback, build it. But now that same lean startup loop has gone and it's 100x faster because you can build prototypes and product much faster. So you're
Yeah,
building prototypes like in one day.
with vibe coding, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you can prototype and test it. Of course, don't put in the production vibe coding thing because it's not secure.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking? Like this whole vibe coding phenomena, which is very new. Um, I know because I'm running a digital marketing agency, and what I see is a bunch of like clients that are asking, like, "Hey, we vibe coded this app. Can you help us?"
You can do that. See, prototype is really good to build vibe coding. Where the vibe coding has the problem is you should not create production environment until unless you do a proper security vulnerability and all these things check. Because when the two type of vibe coding actually, one is pure vibe coding like lovable and all, where you go and write repl- replit, you write even if you have never coded, you're just chatting and building the application, correct? So you can do it right away. And the second way of vibe coding is like using GitHub Copilot and other tools like Cursor and all, where you are a developer, you are basically it's assisting you to do much faster coding, correct? So when you build application with that, you already have your own information architecture, security architecture, and you're using this to make it better. Still, there is a lot of vulnerability because a lot of code, 60-70% is pushed by AI. So you have to test it. But in the first version where you are just chatting and building the application, and if you don't know much about the building application, you have no idea what type of security vulnerability you've created, and you launch that app, and people actually get viral. There's a lot of people, and then there's a lot of backdoor entry. People hack your data, and then you get into problem, correct? Because
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
it's so those are the
That's the
things.
biggest challenge with vibe coding. Like,
Yeah.
there's like two effects literally that I spotted. A lot of full stack developers are like on LinkedIn, hey, that's perfect. We got now so much code and spaghetti code actually to fix. So, there's that part. And then the marketers, they're like, oh, well, there's now an influx of people with ready ideas that are already super, hyped to try them out on the market versus before you had to have like a huge investment to build out an
Yeah.
MVP and start. So these are two main effects of vibe coding. Like it literally helps full stack agencies, like the development agencies and marketing agencies, literally.
Yeah, exactly. It was right.
It's crazy because it's like you're imagine kids like literally 18 years old and they're vibe coding. They just had an idea and now they're like pushed by vibe coding, like literally like pushed in the back to go ahead in the market way faster than
Yeah.
before.
So that's
So
why it's really great to prototype and experiment your product and get the idea and get the feedback. And then
yeah.
once you do that, then you should go and build a serious application, keeping everything in mind, and then launch it because then you are talking about real business because you're going to sell to someone who is relying on you, he's sharing some data, he's giving you money, all those things. So you have a liability.
I love that. No, you're 100% correct. And um, I'm also curious, like when you received the 3 million, do you remember that day? Where were you? What were you doing? How did you celebrate? How did you react when the funds were actually approved?
I think, to be honest, it was not like we raised the money and we were happy because I do remember that. Like it's such a long process while you're doing this, and when you get it, it doesn't mean anything to you because you have gone through so much that it's just the next other day. Let's go and you think about like, okay, there is a one big task is done. Let's go on to the next step and start building so that we can do something. But it like I don't know for other people, but for me and my co-founder, it was like same thing. Oh, okay, there's one checkbox done. Let's go to the next thing because it's such a long process, and you have done so many times and ask like talk to so many people. You have so many no's. It's just that okay, done. one task is done, let's move to the other one. At least now there is one less headache. So for some time, again, you have to go through do the same thing.
Yeah.
So eh, I think when you try something and you get something right away, then it makes sense. Yeah, you celebrate. But you go through the process, then I don't think so. There's anything left for.
But I'm curious, did your mindset, switch a little bit when you got the raise? Like, I guess there were more responsibilities. Like,
Yeah,
how?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were doing so many things at that time when we were raising, uh, and at the same time we were expanding the company. So we had now office in Dubai, Middle East. Now we're trying to expand in Europe
Wow,
and all those things. So we were doing all
it's
those things at
amazing.
the same time. Being a small company, still global expansion. The reason why, because our customers are globally everywhere available. So why to lose that opportunity? So we take that bold decision and decided to expand. Even we didn't has raised money, but we did that. So now when we raise money, yes, you have more responsibility. You have to do more things. So and then as the company is growing, you have to go and raise money or be cash flow positive. All those things comes with that, correct? So it's not like something like, there is a switch. You get the money and you are like,
Yeah.
okay, now there is a different day. It's not. It's the same day.
And so far, uh, during this journey that you're on, with Duelfi, can you share the most brutal mistakes that you've done with the founders listening in?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll not exp- like go into the detail here on the public, but I'll uh, give you some a basic thing. As a founder, and this is, of course, take it what it's worth for, okay? But one big mistake which we did, and quickly realize the setback, is when you are a founder, okay, and you are running for building a company. The objective is, of course, to not raise more a lot of investor money, and then objective is how you get the actual paid customer, correct? Once you get the paid
Yep.
customer, so you are running with that mindset, how I can get more customer, more valuable customer, and make a valuable business. And in that case, when you see a big customer, then you basically get too like tied up with that particular customer, when then you basically lose focus on the other things, because it's such a big shiny toy, correct? And that shiny toy is going to change everything. So
What was the shiny toy
like a
in this
very large
situation?
enterprise customer
Uh-huh.
will give you a lot of money, correct? And it's very interested moving forward, all those things, everything is going great. Then you're putting all your energy there. You also have other customers, but then in that hyper focus mode where you are now start chasing that customer, because you now change your mindset, okay, we have to close this customer because this is, but then you deprioritize other things. But these other things matters a lot, because these are small customers add up and get you the same. Second, these small customers have higher probability of closing because it's less bureaucracy and all. Bigger customer has less probability of closing when you are early stage. It takes time. So those kind of thing is what you have to be focused. You cannot tie yourself with one large thing, no matter what, how big is the customer, correct? You always have to be very uh, you have on your pipeline, you have to give equal attention to every single deal, and then have to keep a very healthy pipeline. If your pipeline is healthy, your business will be healthy. And the pipeline cannot be healthy if your 60-70% of the revenue is tied up to one or two customer. It need to be very distributed.
Huh.
So
And in the
that's,
beginning, yeah, that was the issue. Like, you weren't distributed enough, I guess.
yeah,
So it
right. At the
could.
beginning we were like very focused, and we actually closed that customer too, a big
Nice.
customer. But then it sacrificed a lot of other things. We had to do that, and in that sacrifice, we lost a lot of customers too. So that's,
Mm, wow. So basically, it's as if Yeah, I see. Like it pulled everything down, and you had to scramble to fix things. And what was your solution? Like approximately, what did you do to get yourself out of that situation?
We basically reimagined everything, how to the process, where we have to be, where we have to focus attention on, how we qualify a customer, where we should, how much effort we should put to a customer depending on which stage they are. Second, how fast you can make decision with the customer. That is very, very important. Means the customer can, like, you have to know from a customer, because you are as a salesperson also as a founder early stage, so you have to be very because early stage company, you have very limited resource. You have to be expert in utilizing those resources in the most efficient way. That's your success of your company. So, and then where your mm, biggest resources goes into two things: one, product development, and second is sales. So you have the product, then you can sell the product. So you have to balance those two things. That's what the money is. But now when you are in the front and selling the product, you have to be very careful that people are not wasting your time.
Hmm.
You have to identify the right customer, close the deal. If you see that deal is not closing, jump on the other one. Put more energy to find a new customer who will close than just lingering around the same customer and trying to push him to close. Because you have to
That's gold.
have that decision.
Yeah, this is gold because some founders watching in, they would dwell, I guess, on just one, no pun intended, but they would hyper focus on closing one deal and forget like 10 other deals that could have passed
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, my God. And do you remember like the craziest moments where you had to resolve an issue with a client? Maybe you can share that with us. Like something happened, something crazy happened, and you had to scramble to make sure that it was like a red alert for the team. Oh my God, we have to go crazy on this one to resolve the issue. Any situation like these?
I'm thinking of, we haven't got into that kind of situation so far, where there was some crazy, like that kind of, we didn't we haven't faced any that problem so far, because uh, the kind of problem which we face from the client so far we have faced is, like, there is certain things which will not work the way client is intended to work, and we receive emails, then we show them, hey, this is a different way to do it, then you will get the answer, and that it works. So, like, and I think maybe it's for the reason that, because me and my co-founder, we build like very, like, so many of large scale enterprises. As my co-founder was at Citadel Securities, he worked on the high frequency trading infrastructure, Walmart Lab, Rubrik, bunch of places,
Wow, that's
and built a large
crazy.
scale infrastructure. And I have done the same thing in my past. So we built from the day one when we built it, we built the whole infrastructure as the enterprise grade. So we never faced any kind of these problem
Okay,
that
you were
some people.
ready with the frameworks and the
Yeah.
implementations
So
for these types of situations.
our problem is mostly is, okay, customer does the way the way the tool should work. Sometimes it doesn't work that way because there is several ways to use that tool.
That's crazy. Wow.
And then people also come. Another interesting thing happens with us is, like, we give this tool to the people, they start using it, and then they come up with like 4 or 5 complete new use cases which they are able to solve it. So, which never we never thought of.
Oh, wow.
So it's a different type of, and then they will say, okay, can you build an agent around that? So now that becomes a challenging thing to us, because now, okay, should we focus on this particular product development, agent development, or should we focus on our roadmap?
Yeah, and this is really another like very interesting point that you're bringing on. Like, can you describe what's like the hardest thing about scaling operations across both, Palo Alto and Dubai, for example, because you're scaling two different
Yeah.
businesses basically. Yeah.
So one is, of course, the when we were start setting up all this thing, the biggest challenge was discover like having the exact knowledge of how the regulations work in different jurisdictions. So when we started, like I would suggest anyone who wants to do the next one, they should not have to go through the pain we did. Like we had to spend 6 months to register a company in DIFC because we didn't know anything. Of, it was uncharted territory for us, and we had to go through the whole process, learn,
That's crazy.
discover.
Like starting absolutely from zero.
Yeah. So, but now we know. So that's one, and that is one of the challenge in the scaling. You have to have the right knowledge, right people. But we were lucky to have the right people in Dubai. So two of our people there is like really amazing people. So that's important. Having the knowledge of jurisdiction. And the second scaling problem is you have to have a local people, and that you cannot do like remote. And if I want to start a company from here in Dubai and think like I can run it from here, it will not work.
No, that doesn't work this way. But I guess also the regulations are different in these
Yeah, that's the jurisdiction
jurisdictions.
law, exactly. So you have to have a
Yeah.
right um, like infrastructure for legal and other operations in that
Oh
place.
my God.
Then only it will work. Like banking system is different, tax system is different, everything is different, correct? So you have to have that.
But I think founders are probably wondering why would you like have, for example, two locations? Wouldn't that like complexify your operations? Or did you actually find that it's more beneficial that way because you're getting now a new pool of clients from a new
It all
jurisdiction?
depends on the business, correct? So it was a business decision to expand in Europe, the Middle East market, because if you look at the type of customers which we sell to fund administrator, funds, family offices, hedge fund, private fund, all these type of financial services, correct? So where is the concentration of these funds? US, Middle East, Abu Dhabi,
UK?
DIFC, UK, in UK especially Jersey Island,
Yeah.
Ireland, Luxembourg, Singapore,
Tokyo?
Tokyo, South Korea. So
Yeah.
these are the places where our customers are. So that's why we have people all
Mm.
these places. We started office in Dubai. Now we are in the process of opening an office in UK, and then we'll expand into Singapore, South Korea, and all. We have South Korea customers too, like with people there, Japan. So from day one, even we were a small company, our vision was to global because that's where our customers are.
And any tips on hiring the best?
It's very challenging to be honest. And this is one thing I've learned. Very good point where I can give you a lot of point because hiring is the toughest thing.
It is impressive because, a lot of people would like literally lie on their resumes straight up. So when you're trying to see if they're right, sometimes they're just reading off of like fake teleprompter or whatever. I've had these
That is
types
very
of
true. So I'll
interviews.
tell you, there's a whole different problem in this hiring thing.
Yeah.
One problem is hiring engineers, correct? We have solved it, that problem. And solved it in the sense like now we at least have some control on that one. Because that's where you hire people and uh, you can easily fire also, correct? So that's not a problem. As a founder, where you have to think about the most crucial thing about is who is the right people at the senior level in the sense like the people who actually will be working with you and building business with you, how you hire those people. That is most critical because you, so one thing which I've learned from my experience is there are, when you are setting up a startup and you are running a startup, people tend to go towards our early stage startup to hire people from like a very top places, correct? You always is attracted to bring the people,
Yeah.
but there is different kind of skill set required to work in a startup versus a top corporation. When you are in a like a C position in a top organization, and when you are a C position in a startup, is a different scale. Problem is different. So the kind of people you want to look for a startup is not from their position where they're coming from. You have to understand first. what drives them. Second, are they problem solvers, not like delegated to someone else, because there's
Yeah,
no one to
exactly.
delegate. You have to do it by everything by yourself. What is your drive? Is the money your drive? Is the company your drive? Is the vision your drive? So drive, and then uh, are they problem solvers? And then what is the kind of grit they have? Do they have the real kind of resilience as you? Because they can people get attracted towards a company and startup and all, they will come, so you will see the motivation. They might be a problem solver, but they miss the third piece. They're not going to be sticking around for a long time, and then
Yeah,
you are
they can
wasting all.
like disappear.
Yeah,
Literally, they fade away.
the
Like
first problem you'll hit, they'll go away. Now you basically wasted your time and energy in that person building this. So these are
and
the three
money.
things you have to. Yeah, money, everything.
Yeah,
So these are
because
the three
you're
things.
training them, right? Like it's incredible. It's expensive to train someone well
Exactly.
in a novel niche and industry if it's starting from zero. So it's a huge punch in the gut when they just randomly disappear, right?
Exactly. So it's very important, or even like give you notice and go away. It doesn't matter, correct? But end of the day, they are not, because the kind of resilience required for a startup they didn't have, correct? Because they're not taking all the risk, and if they don't have that risk appetite, they will not stick with you. They came here because yes, you have the money, you raise this money and all those things, but that's not the end game. It's just starting. Until unless you don't exit, it's still the same grit. So you need that resilience to basically do the full marathon. And if they don't have, then they're not the right partner. Maybe they were very smart, maybe they're very great at problem solving and all, but they're not going to stick with you. Then you're wasting time and energy with them.
Wow. Thanks for, dropping that gold. Absolutely. I agree with you. Um, with the way, like, literally, some people say like hiring A players, that's the way it works. They will bring other A players, but good luck finding them. You know, there you can have, for example, a job post and 600 people apply, and maybe one person could potentially be a fit, but then when you're doing the interview, it's a complete mismatch.
So when you're
Right?
hiring those people, like key people in your company, and you're early stage startup, the way it need to be done is you don't hire them right away. You bring them some sort of advisory or some capacity where you can work
Huh.
with them. They have less risk, you have less risk, correct? And you're in the phase of building a partnership.
Yeah, building trust.
When
That's amazing.
when you learn that, and when you build that trust, when you have that, and they feel comfortable, you feel comfortable, then you move to the next step. It's like dating and marriage, like that. So not just first time you met and say, okay, let's sign a contract, let's get you onboarded. That's how it
Yeah,
is. People don't
that's
realize,
like
but it's a huge risk you're taking at that time, because the most critical thing as a startup you have is your resources, your time, your money. These are like limited. You don't have much time, you don't have much money, correct? And then you signed up something where you have an obligation to pay someone without having that person committed, because they're committed, they're going to get paid, correct? But who is going to lose when they leave is they're not losing anything. They were on some job, they came here, they're still making the same money, same salary, correct? But you are the one who built this, sacrificed it, and everything. They left you. You are in the problem.
oh, that's crazy stuff, crazy stuff. And as we're coming in for a rather smooth landing,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do still have a few very interesting questions for you. So, for example, are you doing something to prepare right now for like a regulatory storm coming up that you're seeing in the near future? Maybe, in the news feeds or whatever. Like, are you already preparing, and how are you, organizing
So,
yourself to do that?
so basically, there are two type of regulatory things are coming. One, which is good for us, to be honest, as a
Hmm.
company, because the regulatory um, things are coming for the crypto funds and traditional funds and all those things, which is basically is more bringing more transparency, more uh, auditability, and all those things in these type of funds. like Genius Act has passed, which makes like every single stablecoin need to be audited and all those things. So there's a bunch of things happening, correct? Which is, as a sense, is good for us because we are the company who are basically providing that kind of service where you can do these things as a much more efficient, accurate, and cheaper.
Yeah.
It's good for us. Uh, and this is one of the slide in our pitch deck and everywhere. Why now? Because there's one, this regulatory thing. Second, more and more asset class are entering into the private market. So it's growing very fast. So more different type of asset class means different type of regulations, different type of data. Then you need different type of softwares to deal with these things. So more complexity increases in the industry, it gives better value to us.
I love it. I love it. And also, can you share, for example, like what traction metric like made the difference between curiosity and conviction on your side?
As I said, like the conviction point was where when you start seeing the difference in what the it can deliver, that makes you more convinced and believe that if you're not going to do it, someone else will do it, correct? So you have to, and you're so far now, so there's no looking back from here. Because we see the product when customers use. Yesterday, I was with one customer in Asia Pacific region. Uh, it was in uh, documents and all those things were in different language. They and they said like, okay, this thing I have tried with every single large language model, everything, OpenAI and a bunch of other tools, and always I get some error in that. Some error. It's not always accurate. First time in your product, it worked. I can extract all those things, whatever I exactly wanted, and it converted into language. And that is the moment which when you like actually feels really proud that you have built something which is actually working and solving the problem. It's not that I am saying because I'm biased about always my product, but it's someone third person is saying, and he has a practical experience of seeing the value of the product. And that makes you more convinced, more charged up, more towards what you're doing and keep you motivated.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for dropping that gold also. Yeah, I'm so happy to see you succeed. Maybe one last thing is, can you share the most difficult moment so far that you had in this journey with your startup?
There was a lot, but there was absolutely, I would say, a rock bottom point where we uh, lost some customers and even lost some funding commitments. And it feels like now is the time where everything will come to end. Literally, it
You
was
had
around,
these moments? Yeah.
yeah. And it's not that, and I have personally committed a lot of my capital, and then my co-founder, and a lot has gone into this, but it was feels like now it's rock bottom. You have to, there's no other way. But then uh, we decided not to give up, and then we started keep pushing it. There was nothing like I would not say there was a magical moment and all. It was just that maybe this is the rock bottom, and it'll go beyond this. So let's keep trying it, and we will get out of this. Until unless you don't try, you will not. So the easy path at that moment was yes, let's shut down, close it, not a problem. We have plenty of things we can do. But then the tough thing was not shut down and keep moving, and because we believe in. So we both decided, ask each other, like, do we actually believe in this, and do we actually wants to do this? And the answer was yes. So there was no looking back. So let's keep doing it because the easy path is always easy. Yes, walk out, go get a job, corporate job, or do something else. You can always do that. But whatever we started, we have to finish it if we believe in this. And we believed, so we kept going. So that was the like dark moment for us. actual dark moment.
Hmm. And where did you find the energy? Did you have like support from friends, or did you watch movies to inspire yourself, or did you read books that kept you going? You know,
So I don't watch movies, and I don't even. I used to read books, but I don't read much books now.
no more time, right?
Yeah. So, and the energy is basically it's all my friend, family. If I don't get support from most important family, if I haven't got support from my family, I won't be able to do this. So that is the I think is the biggest uh, powerful thing I have is my family, which there is unconditional support for that, whatever I'm doing. And second thing is, which I think maybe is just natural. I'm, and you need to have this thing if you're a founder. I'm like, I would say, ultra optimistic person in my life. So, so no matter what, how deep in trenches you are in, if you have a very, very even small light, you need to have that hope yet you'll get there. And that's kind of optimism you need to build a company when like otherwise it's very challenging out here to build a startup. So that is naturally in me. So, but that's actually I will say it's also a very bad thing if you are an investor because every single opportunity you see that okay it will succeed, so you invest money. so
Oh yeah,
so
yeah,
on when you are investor, you have to put your other hat where you have to be most like least optimistic person, and then you
yeah.
need
This is really
every way to be
difficult.
most optimistic person.
Yeah, it's like having multiple personalities almost.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right? Yeah, and I have this question that I ask everyone at the end of the show. So, if you could whisper one thing to yourself at day one of building your company, what would you say to yourself?
Mm, very interesting question. So I would say, and this one it's hard to say, but every founder should think about it. The day when you're starting a company, you should be aware. If I am coming from future and talking to myself earlier, you should be aware that what you're getting in is very, very hard. It's not just you cannot describe in the words and all. You can only experience this. So it's very hard. So when you are stepping in, you have to be 100% committed and decide do you want to cross this path or not. Because it's always easy, as I said, to walk out. But then you have wasted most precious thing a human has, which is time. It'll never come back. So if you value the time, then you should know how hard it is. Then you go with that commitment that you have to come out from that side, other side. Otherwise, don't walk in.
I love that. And thanks for sharing that with our audience. And if investors want to reach out or clients want to reach out, like, what's the best way of doing so?
So you can reach out to, you can just Google up Dwellfy. You can go to our website. You can arrange a meeting for investment or for a customer, anything. You can send me an email, kumar@dwell.fi. You can go to LinkedIn, reach out to me, um, any of these things. You can go to X, also Twitter. Or I will put all these things here. But yeah, the easiest way is just shoot me an email or go to our website, schedule a meeting.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. And I really appreciate you having on the show. This was the longest episode so far. So many things to discuss. And I'm sure actually would probably like keep talking for hours and hours. But we have to be mindful
I
also of
know.
your time, of course. But yeah, really, thank you so much for jumping on this episode. Really, really appreciate that, Kumar. Very happy to see you grow and succeed. And to everyone watching, thank you so much for joining us on this Phenoms episode. If you believe that this one brought in tons of value, hit that like button, comment, and of course, subscribe or hit that bell button. All right. See you guys in the next one. Cheers.